Tonight, by way of kind of introductory lesson with regards to an emphasis on singing this month, I wanted to think for us to think about things that would help us in our singing. And these are just some things that, frankly, I would say somewhat arbitrarily I have listed. I'd like to make mention, have a brief discussion of them. Things that would help us to sing. Now, ironically, I say this right after we sing a brand new song. But one of the things that can help the singing is by singing familiar songs. Now, we sometimes sing a song we don't know, and we need to learn new songs. But most would find it a distraction if several songs within the same worship period are brand new songs. But I would caution us, remember, every song that we sing, at some point, they were new to us. Even if it was we were but children when we first heard it. Every song we sing was at some point new to us. And frankly, I am thrilled that we sing such a broad variety of songs. Some people have found themselves, I myself, in the past, distant past, in a church that was smaller, one or two song leaders, sometimes struggling maybe to have one, and he has a repertoire of about 25 to 30 songs. And within a period of a month, you have sang every song that is going to be sung, and then it's just repeated. Now, is that okay? Yes. But is there a better way? I think so. So, yes, we need to learn new songs. But the majority in a service, hopefully, in a worship assembly, would be familiar. A second thing that can help our singing is easy songs. Some songs are easy for anyone to learn. Several years ago, for the first time, I heard what is now one of my favorite songs, How Deep the Father's Love for Us. And it was at Faulkner during a Faulkner University assembly, and there were words on the screen, but there was no music. And so I'm sitting there, I've never seen the words, I've never heard the music. I didn't know what to do. Frankly, I couldn't sing. And Tish was sitting beside me, and she was singing the song. And afterwards, now Tish can sight sing pretty good. Like you give her the music and the words, she does pretty good. But there was no music. And afterwards I said, Tish, how did you sing that? There were no music. You didn't know the song. And she'd never heard it. And she says, well, it was easy. It just kind of sung itself. Well, it was easier for her than me. But actually, once I heard it, it is a fairly easy song. And many songs, I'd say the majority of the songs that we sing, really are fairly easy. But when one comes across that's pretty hard, that's not helpful. Another thing that can help is, and I appreciate our song leaders at the great effort they make to do this. Tonight, Alan was using a pitch pipe. This morning, or sometimes there'll be a pitchfork, sometimes there's a pitch pipe. But in other words, and some folks, without even using anything, just kind of hit it. But when songs are pitched way too high or too low, that can make it more difficult. Another thing that can help song is enthusiastic leading. And frankly, somebody would say, well, it'd help the preaching if we have enthusiastic preaching. Well, that's true, and I hope and try to be, but that can help too. Another thing that helps is words that I can understand. Now, some of the poetic nature and even poetic license of some songs make that song hard to understand. And I'm a bit more literal person, and I think most people really are. And some of these songs, what's that mean? And I also, frankly, can tire of songs that only repeat themselves over and over and over and over again lyrically. But I want to mention to you the two most important things that help singing. And you see, these are things that it matters not about the song leader. And it matters not about the time of day, the number of songs sung, because it has to do with each of us. And the first is the proper attitude toward worship. Singing is a part of worship. And if I have the proper attitude, that's going to go a long ways towards helping the singing. We find that Jesus said to the Samaritan woman that the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such people to worship Him. God is spirit, and they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. You see, I would hope that as I would come to the assembly, that I have an anticipation of worship, a desire to worship. And whether it's that time of prayer, my heart is given to the prayer and my thoughts are brought before the throne of God. If it is a time of eating the bread or drinking the fruit of the vine, that once again my heart and my mind are engaged and I'm thinking about my Lord. And if it's a time where there's the preaching, I try to engage my mind with what's said and what the Bible teaches. Try to learn and try to apply. But with regards to singing, yes, I participate and engage in that singing. And it's not just my voice, but it's my mind and my heart. In 1 Corinthians 14:15, the latter half of that verse says, I will sing praise with my spirit, and I will sing with my mind also. Clearly, the spirit and the mind are to be involved, not just our voice. And when we have such an anticipation for worship, the proper attitude toward worship, it's going to come out in our singing. And then last, once again, this matters not with regards to the song leader or the particular songs that are sung or anything else but me. It comes down to this. I sing. Now, I'd almost wish to have everybody repeat after me. I sing. Not going to make you do that. But when I pick up my Bible, I read, addressing one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. Ephesians 5:19. See, I don't get the idea that my singing is optional. That it's a choice to sing or a choice not to sing. Or rather that I am to sing. Now I realize that there are varying degrees of abilities to sing. I realize that. My mother was more of the songbird. My dad was not. You probably wouldn't hear my dad sing except you were sitting beside him, in front of him, or maybe behind him. But he sung. Now, I don't think he particularly enjoyed music. And I say that because I do not remember him turning on the radio to music. I never recall him buying an album or cassette or a CD of music. He absolutely did not, and you would not hear him singing around his house. But you could sit beside him and you could hear him sing. So singing was not his thing. It just was not. But he sang in worship. Oh, by the way, how good did my dad sing? He could sing about, he had the voice range of maybe 3 notes. And they were all below the bass clef. I love my dad, but no, I wouldn't ask him to sing at a wedding or any other occasion. But he sang in worship. And I'm convinced for one reason. It wasn't because he loved singing, but he did love worshiping our Lord. And as that was a part of the worship, he participated and he sang. And so it ought to be that as I would not absent myself from the assembly, Hebrews 10:25. As I would not refuse to eat of the bread and drink of the fruit of the vine, as we are communing around the table. And as I would not, as it were, refuse to bow and refuse to pray, so I should not hold my lips together and my jaws shut and refuse to sing. Now somebody might say, well, you don't know. My singing wouldn't help. If you ever heard me sing, you'd know that. Men like to hear pretty singing. Yes, we do. But I'm convinced of this. God's not heard the tonal qualities of a single person present. He's not heard if you can sing soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. Some of you would be just like my daddy. He sang also. But God knows that you're singing. And God's hearing the heart. Yes. What's going to help our singing the most? If we all participate in the singing.